Good morning. It is 5:57. Sean, what is the latest with this snowstorm?
So we've seen a decent amount of snow so far. This was the forecast we had yesterday for what would we expect through noon. Now in Rochester, we're getting close to 5 inches in some spots, and there's still time for some of us to hit these numbers. North Iowa, though, really probably not looking at a whole lot more, maybe an inch or two left later this morning. We're already starting to see some snow move in, but here's our total forecast for what's still to come. If you're north of I-90, you're looking at a foot or more total between what's fallen already and what's still to fall. And in these open areas, if you don't get sleet, the whiteout conditions, those really strong wind gusts could make for whiteout conditions and very large snow drifts. South of that, it's a little bit less likely, but you're still looking at some really decent snow totals, especially if you don't get sleet. So the winter storm warning impacts rural communities this evening through tomorrow will be briefly cut off as the winds and the snow inundate roads. Whiteout conditions everywhere. Snow drifts up to 10 feet in Minnesota are possible, and maybe even a couple of power outages if those winds combine with heavy snow and sleet. Stay tuned. I'm tracking hazardous travel conditions coming up.
Thank you, Sean. It's 5:58. We're taking a live look here from Mason City. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this. This morning on Daybreak, here's what you need to know. We have live coverage out on the roads this morning as we continue to track more snow on the way. Plus, many schools are either closed today or offering e-learning to students. We'll tell you about some doing so in our area.
And I'm meteorologist Sean McAdie tracking this snowstorm live out in the elements. We've seen a little bit of a break for the snow, so it's a good time to get out, shovel, or measure, and that's what I'm going to help you do.
KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on. This is KIMT News 3's Daybreak, live from our Rochester studio.
Good morning, I'm Annalise Johnson. Thanks for waking up with us and watching KIMT News 3's Daybreak. Today is Wednesday, February 22nd. It's just about 6 o'clock. Let's get to KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAdie right away. We find him outside of our studio. Sean, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, good morning, Annalise, and to everyone watching at home. We're seeing a little bit of a break in the snow right now. Now, I will say, you look at current conditions, south side of the map, there is a little bit of snow, and I'll show you the radar in a bit, looking to move into North Iowa now or very, very soon. But this break that we're getting is the perfect time to shovel, okay? Because later this afternoon, it's going to get windy, and we're going to see a lot more snow, especially in southern Minnesota. And snow shoveling won't be a good idea, it won't be fun. So grab your shovel, have fun with that. Now, we've had some snow overnight, especially in southern Minnesota. How much have we seen? Well, let's take a look. I got a trusty ruler right here. It says KIMT Storm Team 3. Now, I'm going to teach you how to do this real quick because you don't want to do it close to a building. We are about 20 feet from that building, maybe more, honestly. And also, you don't want to do it too close to a car. And you want to find somewhere flat that we know didn't have snow or ice on it before. We know that this spot right here before me was, for the most part, clear yesterday morning. It's far enough from that building, and we're not on any plowed surfaces. You see, this is too messy. Their plow came through our parking lot. But right here, that's good enough. You stick it in, you take a measurement, stick it in, ka-chunk, you pull it out. That came in at 3 inches. Now, we did have a 4-inch one earlier, so that might be a little bit of a drift that we can see. We'll take another one, ka-chunk. That one came in at about 4 inches. So we're getting about 3-4 inches right now in our studio in Rochester. We actually measured 4 inches last night. Most of the snow has stopped in Rochester. We're measuring a little bit more on the north side of town. I measured 5 inches earlier this morning on the north side of Rochester. We have snow reports elsewhere, 4 inches in Hayfield. Where we particularly need snow reports from you are places like Mason City, places like Forest City, Charles City, Albert Lee, even Austin. We could use an updated one, or anywhere in Fillmore County. If you got that, send it our way. We can get it to the National Weather Service. Now, speaking of road conditions, because you're wondering about that, well, we have Alex Jeter in Storm Tracker 3 this morning to give us the lowdown on that. Alex, where are you and what are you seeing?
Sean, we're driving west on Highway 30 right now, and as you can see, even on more of the side roads, it's looking pretty plowed. So these plows have been out since 3 this morning, so they've been out for hours trying to get these roads cleared. And Highway 52, which we've spent a lot of time on this morning, is also looking pretty clear. So right now, not too bad. I will say more of the side roads is where people are going to have to take it nice and easy this morning, either on your way to work or to school if it hasn't been canceled yet, just because when the plows do come through those side roads, there is some buildup, especially when you're going to merge onto off ramps or merge onto different turn lanes and side roads. So really make sure if you're moving piles of snow that you take it nice and easy and watch for cars around you. Annalise, right back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Alex, and we will be checking in with Alex throughout the morning. Now, if you are on the highways, you may see a MnDOT plow. MnDOT has been prepping for days for this snowstorm. Mike Doherty from MnDOT is joining me now live in the studio. Now, we've been talking about this snowstorm for a couple of days. Can you tell me a little bit about how MnDOT has been preparing?
Yeah, like you said, we've had real good warning. You folks, everybody's been talking about it. So just making sure all the equipment was ready. All the brine was trucked down to different truck stations across southeast Minnesota. And, if you look at the road reports this morning, the way the road conditions are, I think they did really well. This shift of drivers has been out since midnight. They will go till noon today. So they're about halfway through their shift right now. Things went well, but as Sean was reporting, obviously we're in a lull. It was lighter. We're going to get a big bulk of snow coming up, and that's where folks really need to be prepared going into this evening with the high winds, the heavy volume of snow, and that will be a challenge for our drivers. Road conditions will not be looking as good tomorrow as they are today.
And now when you and I spoke on the phone yesterday, you were telling me that, while we are talking about this snowstorm for the next couple of days, you said that the plows are ready to be working through the weekend.
Potentially, yeah. Just with all the high winds, that high volume of snow, they can push it off the road, but that's not when their job ends. If you watch, they will tend and push things to the ditches. We'll have drifting. So even, they call it chasing drifts. They're out after that snow is done falling, and, we have those rural areas, especially where there's no cover. We can get drifting. That can turn into potential dangers to motorists. So they're out there doing that. And then clean up, and then they'll see, hopefully, ideally Friday they'd go home, but I'm guessing they will be some folks working Saturday, and then they'll take a look on Sunday as well.
And now not only are we talking a lot of snow, we're also talking winds. And so
Yes.
what kind of challenges do those pose for plow drivers?
A lot. Visibility for them when they're out in the cab, and they're working 12-hour shifts, so that can be an issue. But the drifting, that pulls that across, they can come through and bust up that drift, but by the time they're route, they come back around again. The route's approximately 30 miles, 35 miles. All that work can be dissolved. And it is a lighter consistency snow, so it's going to blow higher. So that's a challenge, and I think, you look into the visibility tonight. you've got darkness, blowing snow, it's a good time to just stay home.
Definitely. All right, well, we'll be continuing this conversation in the next half hour, but thank you so much for joining us, Mike. And we will also have more live road conditions from Alex in Storm Tracker. Now, the winter storm is shutting down schools across Minnesota, and many parents are preparing for e-learning from home or a good old-fashioned way.
My wife actually flew out of town today, so she was very much making sure, the kids had their stuff ready to go, just trying to, go hour by hour to make sure the kids have something to do.
I think the first few hours will be pretty quiet and pretty low-key, but after that, it's going to get pretty rowdy.
Several schools in our area are also doing e-learning today, including Albert Lee, Austin, Byron, Clear Lake, and Forest City schools. We also have some area schools who canceled school for today. That includes Rochester, Charles City, Dover, Iota, Hayfield, and Casson Manorville. You can find a full list of all school closings at the bottom of your screen and on our website, KIMT.com. Volunteers from Family Service Rochester are offering driveway shoveling for seniors. The purpose is to keep seniors and those in need from slipping, falling, or even just having to be out in bad weather conditions. Eligible people can sign up at any point with Family Service Rochester for shoveling assistance, and help will arrive 24 hours after snowfall. Family Service Rochester says along with paid vendors and substitute shovelers on standby, the organization typically looks for 70 volunteers each winter.
Yeah, and we also follow city guidelines where for sidewalks at least, snow has to be removed within 24 hours of the snowfall stopping. So we don't like to send people out while it's still snowing.
Family Service Rochester plans for around 12 bigger snowfalls per year. If you'd like to sign up to get your place shoveled out or to volunteer, visit our website, KIMT.com, to learn how. Coming up next on Daybreak, we'll tell you how the Minnesota State Patrol is prepared for road emergencies during this winter storm.
And right now we're still taking a look at road conditions as this winter storm taking a lull now, but more of it is set to arrive. I'll take a look at the current road conditions, the current maps, and I'll kind of time it out for you into the afternoon.
KIMT News 3 Daybreak. Your local news with KIMT News 3's Annalise Johnson. Weather every 10 minutes with Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday. This is KIMT News 3. More local news that is happening right now. We are coverage you can count on.
Southern Minnesota Area Rural Transit, known as SMART, will shut down services to all cities at 5 p.m. today. Buses will begin running again at 11 a.m. on Thursday, but with no out-of-town routes, including the Austin-Albert Lee shuttle. Buses will also run on plowed roads only. SMART says bus service may be adjusted further based on weather conditions. It is 6:12 here on this Wednesday morning. Let's check in now with KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday. Sean, how are the roads looking this morning?
Yeah, well, we were just talking with Mike Doherty about road conditions, and the snow we've had so far is nothing we haven't seen before. It's manageable. Already, we're starting to see some improvements in southern Minnesota, and I don't want to say it's good. It's not great, especially those side roads. My drive to work this morning was not pretty. It was not pretty, but still, you got some improvements towards Freeborn County, towards Fillmore County. Even parts of North Iowa are showing pretty good roads. Now, Rochester, we are seeing some completely covered roads, but generally the big roads are a lot better. Those plowed roads, they've been able to get out and plow them. You know, side roads, not quite there yet. In parts of Rochester, we still got close to 5 inches. But now the next challenge is arriving because the winds are starting to pick up. Already gusting to 36 miles per hour in Charles City. That's going to take the snow we've fallen so far and the rest of the good chunk of snow, which is most of it still, to fall later on today and Thursday. And those winds are going to blow all that snow around pretty much everywhere. Coming up, I have a timeline to show you because I want to show you how those travel conditions are going to deteriorate where you are through the afternoon, into tonight, into tomorrow, and then we could start to talk about digging ourselves out of this snow.
Thank you, Sean. Minnesota State Patrol is prepared to respond to road emergencies over the next few days. State troopers are anticipating that they'll be putting in some overtime over the next few days. When major snowstorms wreak havoc on our roads, State Patrol often sees an increase in road emergencies like collisions or off-road accidents. We can expect to see additional troopers on the roads to compensate for those high volume of emergency calls as well.
Typically, we'll see a lot of crashes on I-35, especially with the storm coming in from the west. We'll have some blowing and drifting snow, which is going to cause whiteout conditions. And so then we'll have to just call in additional troopers where they're needed in the high priority crash locations.
If you get stuck, State Patrol says to expect it to take a while for a trooper to get to you. So save yourself the hassle and stay home if you can. In the lead up to our historic winter storm, you may have seen pictures of different weather models showing a wide range of possibilities for snow accumulation. Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday explains what snow ratios are and how they are used to make a forecast.
Have you ever wondered why some snow is fluffy and other snow seems to hurt your back when you're shoveling it? Well, there's a scientific answer as to why. Snow can have different densities. And us meteorologists have to take this into account when forecasting snow. There are 3 factors which go into making snow: temperature, the available moisture, and lift, or the upward motion of the atmosphere. Snow that falls at warmer temperatures, close to around 30 degrees, tends to be more quote-unquote wet. If this snow were rain, every inch of rain would be equivalent to around 8 or 10 inches of snow. When temps cool a bit, more into the low 20s, and moisture and lift are abundant, you hit that nice Goldilocks zone where big fluffy flakes are able to easily form. These dendrites, as they are called, take up a lot more volume. For every inch of rain, this might be more equivalent to 15 or even 20 inches of snow. With our storm today, and temps holding mostly in the 20s, our snow to rain ratio is more like around 13 to 15 inches for every inch of rain. Part of the reason we are expecting so much snow. Meteorologist Sean McAday, KIMT News 3.
Even if this snow is somewhat fluffy, we are still on track to get enough for difficult shoveling. Coming up next on Daybreak, plows are staying busy as the winter storm we were promised is already underway. We have a look at how many snow plows are expected to be on Rochester streets. Good morning. It is 6:18 here on your Wednesday. Let's get the latest on this winter storm from KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday. Sean, what are you seeing?
Well, right now, I'll tell you, we are starting to see some snow moving to parts of North Iowa. It has stopped in Rochester. Rochester currently, the plows are starting to get a handle on the snow. Their opportunity, their window isn't going to last long. This is an opportunity for you to get outside right now and shovel because more snow will move in later this morning, and then we're going to be talking about it snowing all afternoon with winds. It won't be fun to shovel through that. 19 degrees right now in Rochester. Mason City, we're starting to see some snowflakes on the radar. We're not having reports of snow making it to the ground yet. That probably soon will change over the next 2 hours. Winds out of the northeast, 20 miles per hour. It's getting windy with our next band of snow, which is starting to arrive in North Iowa. So let's take a look at the radar. We have that first band, which is lifted north between the Twin Cities. It got some light snow towards parts of Goodhue County, Zumbrota, closer to parts of Steele County. But moving in from the south is the rest of our storm. We have snow along Highway 18 on the radar. Again, we're not seeing it on our live eyes or traffic cams yet, but soon that'll moisten up the air and it'll make it to the ground. And then we're accumulating snow there too. That'll happen within the next 2 hours. How much snow have we seen so far? Well, most of our reports so far are only from southeastern Minnesota. My report, which should be one of these ones, it came in at 5 inches. That came from my live stream. We have that live stream right here, and if you want to follow along this live stream, it's also going to be on and off on Facebook through the next day. This is live. This is our live stream. I dug out some ice from the backyard. I stuck that yardstick in the ground. That is a loon right there, yes, and the KIMT sign is starting to get buried. That has 5 inches right now. Later this afternoon, that should be pretty fun to watch. Taking a look at other snowfall reports, Hayfield coming in at 4 inches. Hayfield, come on, let's bring that 4 inches. We had kind of 4 inches elsewhere, closer to Rochester. Austin had close to 2 inches last night. We've probably seen a little bit more since then. Now, what's left to fall? Well, a lot more. North of I-90, we're expecting above a foot. In some spots, it'll be a lot more than a foot, maybe 1.5 feet. Closer to kind of around I-90, it's give or take around a foot. And then as you get south of that, some sleet could cut into these snow totals. If there is sleet, it'll be on the low end. If there isn't, it'll be on the high end of that like 4 to 9 inch range. But it's not just sleet, it's not just snow, it's also wind. We have so much going on. Blizzard warning now extending into Freeborn and Steele counties. That will go into effect really towards this afternoon. That's when those winds are going to be peaking with whiteout conditions possible. Elsewhere, the blizzard warning, elsewhere, the winter storm warning still signaling that driving conditions are expected to get a lot worse this afternoon. This morning, side roads aren't great. Main roads, we're pretty good. Light snow here and there. It becomes a lot more widespread, a lot more heavy, potentially with sleet this afternoon, and then it still remains pretty windy and scattered into tomorrow. The heavy snow, the worst time will be 2 to 6 or maybe even 8 p.m. with that really heavy stuff coming our way and with winds gusting, look at this, above 35, maybe even 40 miles per hour. You know there's going to be whiteout conditions. So our travel conditions this morning, they're not great. Make it a little bit better around 8 a.m., but as the snow starts to pile in again, we go from bad to potentially even extreme, especially in southern Minnesota, where travel may be even impossible at times because of drifting snow. We could really see some rural communities shut in for a day. So here's a look at our SKYTRACKER 3 computer model. Very heavy snow with strong winds through the afternoon and evening. This evening, you will want to stay put. You do not want to be trying to venture this, especially in southern Minnesota where we could see a foot. And in North Iowa, it's either a lot of snow or it's some ice. Both of those are not good. And, oh, yeah, it's going to be windy too, whiteout conditions. Things start to move out by around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then we're starting to talk about improvements on Friday. Bottom line, to take this storm seriously, it was always round 1 going to be the appetizer. Round 1 ends at noon today. Round 2 starts at noon today. That should be the time this morning. You want to do some things, you still got a small window before things get a little bit more serious.
And then shut her down for the night.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean. Plows have been on the road since Tuesday afternoon to clear away this snow. Ahead of the snowfall, we spoke with Jake Bushow, the street maintenance supervisor with the city of Rochester. He says there will be around 45 snowplows on Rochester streets, applying brine, salt, and of course, blading all of that snow away. He's asking people to remember to give plows a good amount of space and to drive as slow as possible as the snow continues to fall.
Leave early if you need to leave. If you can stay home, try to stay off the roads. Give us ample space. It gives the emergency workers, the tow trucks, the police, the fire, EMS, everyone that needs to get out, and us able to do our work to get them places where they need to go, and then just everyone to be able to get home safe.
He also wants to remind people that alternate side parking is in effect, so remember to park on the odd side of the road tonight. There are also areas in the city that require no parking from midnight to 8 a.m., so make sure to look out for these signs. Up next on Daybreak, we'll tell you about a plan proposed by Iowa Democrats to legalize marijuana in the state. Iowa Democrats are proposing a comprehensive bill to legalize marijuana. The plan from lawmakers would allow Iowans over the age of 21 to purchase marijuana for recreational use from a licensed retail store. It would also see the tax revenue from marijuana sales go to help public schools, mental health services, and local public safety. It would also expand Iowa's medical cannabis program to get relief to more Iowans with chronic pain. Iowa House Democratic leader Jennifer Converse says it's the right move.
A majority of adult Iowans support legislating or legalizing marijuana for recreational use. Legalizing marijuana for adult use keeps Iowans safe, stops our tax dollars from going to neighboring states, improves the quality of life for Iowans who are suffering from chronic illnesses, and it stops us from wasting state resources to unfairly punish Iowans.
The bill would also decrease penalties for marijuana possession and expunge records for nonviolent marijuana convictions. Up next on Daybreak, GOP lawmakers are attempting to ban certain books in Iowa schools. And we're continuing our live road coverage as the snow takes a brief break before it's anticipated to start falling again later.
Some of that snow is already starting to move in on the radar. It will pick up again later this morning, and it's really picking up this afternoon. Here's what we could have left according to